You're listening to the Connect, Grow, Multiply podcast from your friends at Green Acres. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Connect, Grow, Multiply podcast. I'm sitting here with my favorite pastor. You have made it that far, my favorite pastor.
I wasn't even in the top 10 like 6
You
months
weren't,
ago.
and you see if you applied yourself,
Perseverance.
and you've gone right up the ladder there.
Thank you.
Certainly, my favorite current pastor. I mean, yeah. Okay, good.
That's hurtful.
Hey, look,
but
it's true.
I receive it.
Okay. Listen, we've been in the parables. We've been talking about some parables that were easy to talk about. The Good Samaritan, that was kind of fun. The prodigal son, everybody's real familiar with those. But then we did the narrow gate. That was a little harder. Today, we're having a conversation about the parable of the talents.
Talents.
The talents and the talent. This is a sneaky one, in my opinion.
It is.
It's a sneaky one. At first, it's a little bit of a head scratcher, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But it comes right around, and it's about stewardship. It's about all kinds of things that aren't readily seen, at least in my opinion, right off the bat.
Sure.
So,
I mean, at its core, the parable is about really the weight of stewarding all of life. It's a stewardship parable, and it's not just about managing money, but managing your whole life. Like, what do you do with your time? What do you do with your calendar? How do you lead your family? And yes, it is, bank accounts are included in that because it's a part of your life. But even some of the most simple things that we overlook, I even look at this deeply in what am I reading? What am I watching? Because that is a part of stewardship in your life. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we try to minimize the impact of this parable by just placing it into this category of finances.
Right.
And how do I manage my money? How do I give back to the Lord? How do I multiply for His sake and for His glory? But really, it is a life of worship. It is stewarding everything that God entrusts to me.
That's so good. It's found in Matthew 25:14.
Oh, we haven't started.
Through 30.
You wanted it?
Did I jump
the gun? I thought you just announced it.
Can I tell the people out there, both of them who are watching?
Can
I tell them? Okay, this is Matthew 25. 14
if you haven't recognized, it's the parable of the talents.
The parable of the talents, right? The parable of the talents, and it's fairly lengthy. I'm going to summarize it.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is again Matthew 25:14 through 30. Jesus tells a parable about a master who goes on a journey and entrusts his servants with varying amounts of money called talents. One receives 5, another 2, and another receives 1, each according to their ability, which is key. The first 2 invest what they are given and double their amounts. The third servant, however, buries his talent in fear, and he doesn't do anything with it. When the master returns, he praises the first 2 for being faithful and entrusts them with even more responsibility, inviting them to share in his joy. The third servant is rebuked for being lazy and fearful. His 1 talent is taken away and given to the one with 10, and the servant is cast into outer darkness. That's strong. A warning about wasted opportunity and unfaithfulness. That's why I say there's a lot of layers to this one.
Yeah, sure.
And so we'll just jump in.
Yeah.
Because in your words, what really is this thing? I mean, what really is it all about? We know it's about using the things that God has given us, as you said, but why do you think it makes this quick turn? And it says he was cast into outer darkness. That's
deep.
Strong.
Yeah.
You take that one, Pastor.
Well, it's, the Mormons have actually stolen that language, outer darkness. Anyways, that's for a different episode.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
It's interesting to me that the punishment is that severe.
Right?
Because we want to lessen this to, I just won't have that big of an impact.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm not faithful, then maybe it will just limit my impact or what I do for the kingdom, but it's not really going to do anything to me. The problem is the way that this is framed is that it's not just about your bank account. It's really about accountability.
There it is.
Okay. So, and you see that with, this brother was cast out into outer darkness. That that is a severe punishment.
Yeah.
And, you know, we would like to think of this in terms of, you know, does the punishment fit the crime? That seems a little much.
Right.
All right. He didn't steal it.
Right.
He just hid it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. Well, apparently it is that big of a deal.
Right.
And there is high accountability from the Lord to his people for what we do with what has been entrusted to us. And, you know, Paul says in Romans chapter 12, I beseech you, I beg you, I make this appeal to you, brothers and sisters, that you would live your life, that it would be holy and pleasing, that it would be a living sacrifice. Yeah. Like this is pleasing worship to God. Anything less is not. So in many times in when we think about sin, when we think about even accountability, we do think of terms of does the punishment fit the crime, right? I mean, that's the American way.
Right.
If I steal, then maybe just a couple days in jail, okay? Or I pay it back and everybody looks the other way. But in terms of kingdom living, that's not how God operates. There is a standard, and you are to meet that standard. Yeah. Now, obviously, there are layers of accountability, and I know we don't have time to get into that here, but the point is for us to understand what this is really about.
Right.
That it's not about what you have to offer. It's about what has been given to you that you are offering unto the Lord. Yeah. So that's where you really have to get rid of our way of thinking naturally and come to an understanding that, no, this is a big deal because this is God's standard. This is my calling. And what am I going to do to steward what God has given to me?
Yeah, I love what you say because the punishment shows how important it is to the master.
Yeah.
Irregardless of what the servants think. It's that important to the master.
That's exactly right.
The illustration, this is important stuff to God. But like you've said, it's more than just money. It's more than just money. It's more than just a bank account. And what you have said it a number of times, and I wasn't even sure if I would share this today, but you've said it a number of times. You've encouraged people. I've heard you do it with others. I've heard you do it with me. Be who you are made to be. You're here because you're made to be a certain way. And to deny that is almost to say, I don't agree with how God wired me. Yeah. Now, good. It doesn't mean I give in to temptation or sin or just become whatever. Try not to be balanced. What it is we're all bent a certain direction, and that is, in some ways, that is our gifts, our talents.
Yeah.
To operate outside of those is to say either I don't like how I'm made, God, you're wrong, but it's certainly to deny God's sovereignty, I think, in our lives.
Yeah.
And to me, that becomes a wasted. If I do that, I'm burying my talent, so to speak, and I'm just not sure that honors the Lord.
Well, because it's all about trust.
Yeah.
Because what you do with your talents, which means a plethora of things, but what you do with your talents is not trying to prove your worth to anyone. It's about proving the master's worth.
There you go.
Okay? It's about trusting the king enough to take kingdom risks.
Yeah.
And being content and satisfied in what you have been entrusted with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you bring up this point about, not being satisfied or content with who I am. Yeah. And obviously there's some deep layers to that. But on the surface, what we can do is say, like for me in particular, okay, name your favorite preacher of all time. All right, it's not going to be me. Okay.
So my second favorite preacher.
Here's the deal. It's not going to be me. We all have our favorite preachers.
Sure.
Okay. You could list Adrian Rogers. You could list Mac Brunson. You can list Jerry Vines. You can list Louis Giglio. You can list John Tyson. You can list Jonathan Pokluda. You can. Okay, the list goes on and on and on and on. Well, I could be frustrated that I'm not those guys.
Yeah.
Like I don't have their same talent. I don't have their same voice. I don't have this. Well, I'm not called to steward their talent.
That's right.
I'm not called to be them.
Yeah.
I'm called to be Michael. I'm called to be dad. I'm called to be husband to my family. Like that's my calling. So the trap is that we remove contentment in the midst of comparison.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. Thank
right?
you, social media.
Yeah. Well, and let's be honest.
human
like
nature.
It's just human nature. That's exactly right. I mean, Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
I think that was the first trap of comparison.
Yeah.
Recorded in Scripture, and so social media has just magnified the sin of Cain and Abel in that story, and so for us, we have to say, we can't be caught in that comparison trap. Because comparison is not just a thief of joy, although that is true. It's not just a thief of contentment, although that is true. Comparison leads to an assassination against God's character because it's not good enough.
Yeah.
Whatever he decided to put in me, whatever he decided
right.
to give me, it's not good enough.
Yeah.
And that is why many people fall into the trap of the third dude where he hides it.
Yeah.
Because, well, man, I can't preach. Like I can't be an owner of a business. I can't do this. I can't be a good husband. I can't be a good dad. Like, look at what they're doing. I mean, they're so much better at this. And well, what we're doing is we're telling the Lord he either made a mistake or he was unwise or unrighteous or unjust in his talents that he dispersed.
That's true.
I don't want to be caught there.
I do not want to be caught there.
Which is, by the way, why outer darkness is the reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
As the punishment.
True.
Because it's just not, I just hid some treasure.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't just hide treasure. I'm assassinating God's character.
That's right.
That deserves outer darkness.
Ooh, that comparison piece.
Amen. Yeah.
I believe is it's a trap that we've all fallen into at some point. But I just see guys, I can't believe that they are comparing themselves, because I look at the talent that they have, so to speak, or the gifting or the platform or whatever, and they're busy looking at the other platform that they wish they had, or what have you, or the other role, the other job, the other family that they wish they had, because, oh, look at that. And that, you're right, that destroys, I believe it destroys the believer. And I think we can tell, this may be a side rabbit trail.
Yeah, if you get a rabbit in a hole, man, they're trapped. You can shoot it pretty quick.
We can shoot them. We can shoot them. By the way, I do want to make note that you said plethora earlier.
Okay.
Quoting the Three Amigos, of course. As you
Amigos?
know. The three. No. Okay.
Is that
you did.
Cartoon?
You did. No, that's a classic. A classic. Chevy Chase. He's an actor.
Oh.
Okay.
Christmas Vacation.
Yes, the same actor, different movie. But
obviously, we're not on the same page. I feel like we should transition.
I think we may transition back, but I thought it'd be in and out. But now it's a rabbit hole, not a
now
rabbit
we're
trail.
In a rabbit hole for sure.
And I don't even remember the trail I was going after.
Well, I said plethora.
Can we celebrate? And this is how you can know you have maybe talent envy, and that is you can't celebrate when somebody else gets where you wanted to be.
Oh boy!
You can't celebrate, and you can't even be happy for them, and it just anyway. I've read about that. Of course, I've never experienced it myself.
I have never experienced jealousy.
Or
a discontent spirit. Although that we struggle every single day. Every person struggles every single day. It's just whether or not we are good at hiding it.
That's right.
That is the only difference.
Yeah.
Because you got some jokers out there that, man, they're just good at hiding discontent.
That's right.
Discontentment. Is that a word?
It is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're good at hiding their lack of contentment.
There it is.
They're good at hiding jealousy.
Yeah.
And, it's the guy that in middle school that didn't get the girl, and then he acts like he doesn't care, and he never liked her anyways.
That's right. Girls are stupid.
The thing is, middle school boys grow up to be dads and husbands with the same insecurities as they started with.
That's right.
Until they are redeemed by Christ, we will continue to struggle. And on this side of eternity, the comparison trap is a reality. Because I think it's one of Satan's greatest ploys to really disengage Christians from the fight.
Yeah.
Because if we can just get distracted in this comparison trap. Well, I'm never going to be that pastor. I'm never going to be that dad. I'm never going to have that platform. I'm never going to be able to write that book. I can't. Okay. When we're in that trap, we have taken ourselves out of the fight that really matters most. And Ephesians 6 is very, very, very clear on the fight and the battle that we are in. And the battle is not for the brother with 1 talent, 2 talents, or 10 talents. It's for every person who is called by Christ. You have now entered into a battle. And it's not against flesh and blood. So stop comparing yourself to other people around you. Because that is flesh and blood. The battle is not in flesh and blood, but rather it is in the principalities of darkness. It is of the supernatural. It's in the unseen of the world. That's where the battle is. And so until we come to an understanding that, okay, when I find myself in the cycle of comparison, what do we do to get out of it? I'm asking you.
You're asking me what I was going to say.
Will you please tell me?
I'm waiting. Let me help you. Let me help
please.
you. I do think there's an awareness that comes of, I think you have to be comfortable. This is my opinion. You have to be comfortable with how you're made. So, and I've told you this before, I've got 3 brothers who are absolute studs. They love Jesus more than all of us put together.
Who do you like the best out of all of them?
That's not very fair.
That's a funny question.
I was about to say.
Which one of your children do you like the most? It's terrible.
Gosh. But those guys are wired so differently.
Yeah.
And they're uber successful. But they're successful, they're generous, and they're kind, and they're driven, and all these different things. And forever, I wanted to be like one of them. And they're different, but I wanted to be like one of them. And forgive the long story here, but it really wasn't until I'm in my early 40s. I mean,
that was years ago.
Literally, sadly,
decades.
Years ago, that I got comfortable with how God made me.
Yeah.
And it was never going to manifest itself like those guys.
Yeah.
They could be my best friends on earth. I just was never going to be like them in gifting and talent. Hopefully I am with a heart for Jesus like those guys. I aspire to be. But I just really had to get comfortable. And so to answer your question, I think the key is to be grateful for how I'm wired, for how you're wired, and lean into it. And I go all the way back to, you leaned over to me when I went up to preach one time. Just go be yourself. You said, go be yourself, which doesn't seem like a big deal probably to anyone listening, but it was a huge deal to me because I'm following, our pulpit has been filled with great preachers.
Yeah.
And to be told, go be yourself, just as a little bit of validation going, hey, you're wired to be up there. Not to be up there, but God wired you. Go be like
right.
God wired you. So
that's right.
I don't know that it's that simple, but I think it might be.
It really is. No, I haven't figured it out. I've read books about it.
I will be reading
but
those books.
we walk through the same thing with our kids.
Yeah.
Right. It is early when comparison starts. Super early. You've dealt with it all these years. I don't remember a time in my life when comparison wasn't eating at me.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a reality of life. But there was a guy, nobody would ever know him because he was my youth pastor when I was in 9th grade. Okay. And just a godly dude. And he was talking about comparison. And this was before social media, by the way. That's how old I am. Okay. Yes, this was before social media. And once again, comparison began in Genesis chapter 4. But he talked about the only comparison that is liberating. Every other comparison is a trap. There's one comparison that is liberating, and it is when you compare your life to Christ. What he means by that is, because that sounds defeating.
Yeah, I was
okay,
say,
the margin is wide. Here's what he's getting at, is when we compare ourselves to Christ, number one, that's the only comparison that matters.
Yeah.
Number two, Christ is the one who fills the gap of our inadequacy.
Yeah.
So when we recognize the gap between my life and who Jesus is, which you should realize that gap, It is the cross of Jesus that fills that
that
gap on our behalf.
That's good.
And he makes us, he who knew no sin became sin on our behalf so that we might become a better version of ourselves. No, that is not what it says. So that we might become the righteousness of God.
Yeah.
Like perfect,
Yeah.
holy, accepted.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact in my life, when I am struggling the most with comparison or the lack of achievement in my life, I know that it creeps up mostly when my eyes are not fixed on the one person that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, I mean, and of
you're
course
right.
we
You're
know
right.
that. Like we know that answer. Like if I fix my eyes on Christ, then everything is better, right? You can be like Peter and you can walk on water. No, that's not true. But you can be like Peter when you have your eyes fixed on Jesus. You're not worried about the waves around you, the storm that is raging. But as soon as Peter took his eyes off of Jesus, that's when he began to sink. Well, obviously there's a lot more to that story. I also think that is a surface level truth that is so needed for our day.
Yeah.
That we must live with our eyes fixed on Christ. Now, what does that have to do with the parable? I'm trying to get us back there because we went into right field.
We did. And rabbit holes.
I tried to pull it down the line and I poked it to right. I'm sorry.
We did, but
okay.
yeah, but you made contact. You did.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah,
I think you really did.
Yeah, I'll take a walk.
You know, this will be perhaps a stretch, but I do think comparison, it even creeps into like management techniques. It creeps into our schools. It creeps into Christian organizations in this regard. We reward publicly, in which we should. So the one side is you reward publicly what you want imitated.
Yeah.
And so everybody sees that and go, ooh, if I want that reward, I'm going to have to be more like them.
Yep.
And I'm not like them. And so somewhere in there is something we've really got to be aware of, not to compare ourselves, to do our best work.
Yeah.
But to not compare ourselves.
Well,
and it's tough.
Because I mean, let's think about that for a second. Listen, the world only rewards one type of person.
That's right.
Right. You can see it in school systems. School systems, man, they reward one type of student. Not all students.
Yeah.
They reward one type of student. Mm-hmm. The one who achieves X, Y, or Z academically. Mm-hmm. Has nothing to do with that brother or sister's character. Has nothing to do with who they are in Christ. Mm-hmm. But the only one that gets recognized is if you fit into this little bitty box right here. Right. Well, that breeds comparison.
That's right.
And that breeds dissatisfaction in our own lives because we do the same thing, mm-hmm. right? And we just have to fight against that tendency. And when someone else gets rewarded or recognized, we can actually be glad on their behalf and understand that is not against me.
Right.
You know,
right.
Because that's the issue at hand, right? Because
right.
they all got different amounts.
You know, at the other side, we've talked about people that rightly invested their talents, whether it was they leaned into how they're made. But when you do that, there's the reward, earthly reward, is joy. Mm. When you remove the comparison, really at the end of that is joy and it's closeness with the Lord. And here's what you lose. You lose bitterness. You lose angst. You lose anger. You lose, I've heard, I've read about this. That's like I wouldn't really.
It's an Old Testament.
It's Old Testament. That's right. But at my best, you lose that angst that comes from having to be seen as succeeding by other people because you lean into what God made you.
We kind of step into this.
Yeah.
Talking about a lot of guy problems, but where you see this a lot is with our ladies.
Yeah.
The inadequacy that moms feel.
Oh man.
That is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
The mm-hmm. inadequacy that ladies feel as a wife, or name a problem, right? And it's just we start comparing.
That's right.
And here's the thing though, because we walk with ladies with infertility issues, mm-hmm. we walk with ladies with all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, and our women's ministry does a phenomenal job with this, but It's not just a dude problem, right? No matter who we are and no matter what problem we are facing, comparison is the enemy of calling. Always. Because you can't run your race if your eyes are fixed on somebody else's lane. Like, you just can't do it.
That's good.
I mean, you're going to veer. And as soon as we look at somebody else's lane, we start thinking, well, man, they're having kids. Man, they're already married.
Yeah.
Man, he's done with college. She's done with this. She's accomplished this. They're already so far ahead of me. Man, your job is to not run that race.
Right.
Your job is to run your race that is right in front of you. And right in front of you is Christ himself.
That's good.
And that's where we have to fix our eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. And getting comfortable, you asked the question earlier, but how do you get past it? And I do think there's a part of get comfortable with the story God's writing in your life. At least those are the words from my wife. There are things you don't choose. You don't choose certain parts of your story. You don't choose certain detours that you're forced to make or whatever. But it's God writing the story. If you believe that that's true, then you have to live like that's true.
That's right.
Man, that's so good. And that's when he says God invites us to enter the joy of your master, at least in this this parable. I do think that's where the joy is found. The joy isn't that you get to succeed now where you didn't, or it is where you are comfortable with what God's given you and placed in your life.
Yeah. The difference is, though, there is no such thing as success.
That's right. Oh, that's exactly right.
Like, define it.
Right.
Like, what does success mean? Well, it means something different to every individual.
That's right.
Because what we have equated success to is meeting my desire.
Right.
So I desire to achieve this. If I do that, I will be successful. Only to find yourself getting at that point in your life of achievement to only find there's actually something else you desire. And
that's right.
And this is where theology meets identity. I mean, right here with the talents.
Yeah.
Is if you believe that God is sovereign and wise and good.
Right.
Okay, those are things that are true of who God is.
Yeah.
Then you have to believe he gave you exactly what you need to feel exactly what he's called you to do. Yeah. And that's how there is joy in it.
That's right.
Is because, God, you gave me one. Man, praise God. I'm going to do whatever it is to use this as little or as big as it is. I'm going to use this for your glory. And for your good. I mean, that is my aim in life. You give me 5, great. I'm going to do whatever I can. Like, the story doesn't change.
Right.
God gave me exactly what I need to do exactly what he has called me to do.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You make a great point, too, about you can't win a race looking at somebody else's lane or however you said it. I do think so much of what God has to do, at least in my own life, is he just almost got to put blinders on. He says, nope, quit looking over there. This is what I have for you.
Yeah.
And what does the Bible say? Without faith, it's impossible to please God. This is a question of faith.
That's
Do we
right.
believe that God has made us how he's made us? Again, to be the best version of us we can be.
Doesn't mean we can slack.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if it made me lethargic, doesn't mean I get to lay in bed all day.
Yeah, I mean, laziness is just kind of hiding your talent.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, that's laziness. That's lethargic. That's apathetic.
Yep.
That's not what God's calling us.
Yeah.
That person goes to outer darkness.
Outer darkness. That's right. That's right. So I do think as we kind of land the plane here, I think it's so important, really, as we read this, to understand it is a call for us to examine our own lives, in my opinion. Examine our lives. How are we put together? What are those things God's laid at He said, here, this is what I've entrusted to you. 5 talents, 3 talents, a talent, half a talent,
Yeah.
But he's given us something.
Yeah.
What do we do with that? I noticed that the one who didn't do anything was wrapped up in fear. And if there is an Achilles heel, in my opinion, in the Christian world, it's fear. There's so much fear of what they're going to say about me, especially you mentioned our wives, our women, as they raise kids.
Yeah.
Man, it's tough raising kids. I mean, I love the church. We raised 3 kids in the church, and it was a blessing to them, but there were times when it was just so difficult because it becomes this, I don't want my kids to mess up because their kids didn't mess up, and I don't want them to think poorly of me, and it becomes this whole comparison thing. It just you get sucked into it. And I just love the idea of, hey, God's writing our story.
Well, it's an easy trap to get into because ministry is the only job in the world that you are required to win at work and home.
That's very true.
It's the only job in the world that it's a requirement to win at home and at your job.
Yeah.
But for the guy that hid his talent because of fear, this is not deep exegetical work. But I think it's applicable to the degree, culturally speaking, that one of the reasons why we hide our talent so much is that we fear that what we have been given is not good enough.
Yeah.
That really is an Achilles heel, especially for those in ministry, but for those that are not in ministry. What you have been given is not good enough. I remember when we were first in ministry, we wanted to. There was no place to host some get together for one of our groups.
Yeah.
And I wanted so badly to just offer our home, like, hey, y'all can do it at our house, and I kind of was embarrassed a little bit because all these dudes were some, successful, wealthy, but further along in life. But nonetheless, out of fear, I didn't offer what I had. And that's so true of all of us, though, in many different circumstances. Listen, this is where God has you. This is what God has given and entrusted to you. Yeah. We are just simply called to lay it all out for the Lord to use for his glory.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, it is not your talent. It's not yours.
Yeah.
You think about Shaquille O'Neal, man, he has a great, successful basketball career. And he wants more in life. Yeah. He wants another championship. Yeah. He wants another piece of recognition in basketball. Sure. And yet none of it was his. Right. I mean, did he work hard?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, he worked hard, played at LSU, went on to the NBA, was drafted by Orlando Magic, had a great career at the Lakers, obviously, good career. He worked hard, but who made him that tall?
Exactly.
The Lord did. He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Who gave him that big old paw?
He's got a paw.
God did.
That's right.
All of his ability, all of his talent, okay, I'm using it differently now, was given to him by God. Yeah. Everything that you have that has been entrusted to you, whether that is a talent in the way that we think about it, like I can play this sport, I can do this, talent, ability, that's given to you by the Lord. The finances he entrusts to you, it's given to you by the Lord. He can shut off the faucet at any moment.
That's right.
There are plenty of stories of that.
There
are. But what are you doing in the time that you have in order to use everything that God has given you for his kingdom?
That's right.
That's what it comes down to.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, anything else? Is Connect, Grow, Multiply podcast. How's this for a close?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Use it, grow it, multiply it.
Amen.
Your talents. There you go.
That's what we want to do.
Hey, this has been good stuff. Thanks, Pastor. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Connect, Grow, Multiply podcast. If you have any questions, you can send them to cgmpodcast@gabc.org. Check out our website, gabc.org as well. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.